never deluded myself that the fight against illegal gold mining or galamsey was going to be an event. I mean, definitely, there's no magic wand. The decay has eaten so much over the last 8 years that it's going to take a lot of work to be able to overcome it. And I didn't expect that in 18 months we would declare victory in the fight. As the livelihoods of about 4 million Ghanaians is on small-scale mining. And so it's going to be a process. It's not going to be an event. But we will not give up. We have a determination to get on top of it. The Gold Board was introduced as part of reforms. And if the Gold Board was not introduced, I mean, those who were taking the profits from the small-scale mining sector were the foreign traders who were taking that money away. In 6 months, we have exported over $6 billion. About $4 billion of that money was going to go into the private or foreign traders. And so the first thing is you shut the stable door so that the horse doesn't escape, which is what we've done. So if it's from illegal sources, it's from legal sources. At least it's our land that is being destroyed. So let us get the benefit of it instead of foreign traders. So that's the first thing. But if you go and read the Gold Board law, it has a requirement for tracking and tracing. I've been reluctant to implement a state of emergency in the galamsey fight because we've not exhausted the powers we even have without a state of emergency. We have the opportunity to arrest anybody, to confiscate any such thing. There are laws for forest protection and all that give us enough powers to be able to act. Implementing a state of emergency might sound nice, but it should be the last extreme, the last resort. So for now, let's exercise all the powers we have.
Yes, so Senor, despite the level of pollution our water bodies are going through, and even ECG now cannot, that's the ECG, Ghana Water Company, cannot treat our water for us. We haven't gotten to a state where we should declare a state of emergency. You people say, lie, the president won't allow this. What are you going to do?
I've been heartbroken. I realize my energy is low. I'm in shock. Samson, His Excellency the President signed our pact, and he made representations in that pact that showed that he was recognizing and acknowledging, was concerned about the problems and convinced about the steps that we had agreed he would take.
He signed the pact.
He did. I can read them here. John Mahama.
This is before the elections.
Before the elections, yeah. Recognizing the deleterious and devastating impact of illegal and irresponsible mining on the forest, land, and water resources of Ghana. Acknowledging the dangers posed to the food chain and health of Ghanaians by their inevitable consumption of poisoned water and food, laced with heavy metals and concentrated inedible minerals. Concerned with that until and unless bold and decisive legislative and specific policy interventions are put in place to stem the tide, the situation will continue to deteriorate to the point of irreversibility. Convinced that it is both an obligation of the High Office of the President of the Republic of Ghana and also a logical patriotic duty of every public servant to work towards the protection of the resources of Ghana and the best of interests of the citizens under the trusteeship duty incumbent on the said office. I hereby pledge, per pledge, I hereby undertake per pledge, and 2, act as follows. 1, immediately to denounce and do hereby immediately denounce the practice of galamsey for its treacherous impact on the natural environment and the health, safety, and well-being of the people of Ghana for those of posterity. We accordingly call on the perpetrators of the heinous environmental crime of galamsey to be stopped by the perpetrators, their agents, assigns, and any workmen. We call on the law enforcement agents to immediately and ruthlessly apply the law against the perpetrators of this crime by clamping down on the practice and bringing culprits to book, ultimately through the criminal justice system, irrespective of their political or social standing. 4, that we will design and implement policies to immediately stop galamsey and to approve galamsey from Ghana in the medium to long term, should any of us win the next presidential elections and any presidential election thereafter. And this is the last one. To call on all supporters, party officials, communicators, and other persons speaking for and on behalf of our parties to desist from making comments supportive of the menace or otherwise encouraging anyone involved in galamsey to continue with this practice. How ruthlessly have we dealt with galamsey? You see, this country and our policy speak from our politicians has been so much on the side of inputs. We have done water gas. We have arrested this. We've arrested that. I clap for you. You've done well. We have supported that. As a matter of fact, I actually believe that the foremost person who's really been in support and fighting this has been Emmanuel Amabwa. He seems sometimes for us like the only guy standing. What you should measure your policy actions by is the output. We got into this fight last year, sometime in August, when we had the publication of the 4,500 NTUs. Right, do you remember? I was here and I called Akufo-Addo the worst president ever. Because you don't to pretend this to this point. And you still see it and still having constraint in taking ruthless action against this matter because politics holds your hand. Today, what do we have? After all that the president says they've done, 32,000. Have we gone or have we come? I am really sad. I'm heartbroken. There are things and steps that have been taken. But that ruthlessness that's required, the void of politics or social standing has been difficult for this government. Their own party people are involved. The former guards, political guards, have handed over to the new guards. And the trade is continuing. And the irreversibility that the president signed on in this pact that we signed is where we are now. And he's struggling to act. We can't continue this way, Mr. President.
We haven't gotten there. That
Mr. President,
state of emergency should be last resort.
Look, the value of that state of emergency was not to run a whole country state of emergency. There are particular places we have to protect. Our forest reserves and our water bodies. If you declare that state of emergency, you're supposed to draft your own rules and give you, far-reaching power to take strong action, ruthless action to curb this. We had 9 reserves that they said people are taking over. Talk to Erastus. The people are going back. The red that turned to green or yellow is going to orange. Where are we going? So you look at this police thing that he did. You withdraw the whole people. That's why IGP focus on galamsey, don't focus on Abroni. They ask the police people to come. His explanation respectfully does not suffice. Suggesting that what? The police people could not tell who from what. That is neither here nor there. If it's a communication problem, the NIMOS that was put in place, we are part of the NIMOS. We are represented at NIMOS. They can give that guidance. It is information, it's communication. There are rules. If you are supposed to mine at a place, you should have the permits for it.
Okay.
If you want to have a database for the police should have it. And let's get it clear.
So small-scale
mining is not allowed in forest reserves.
All right. So the Ghana
what is it that the police people could not have done?
So the Ghana coalition is insisting on a state of emergency.
We need a state of emergency. We need the police people back.
All right.
But more importantly, I think this is something we must ask for.
All right.
The government must publicly publish on a monthly basis for every water processing plant, the NTU state, the level of turbidity.
Okay.
So we know the quality of water we are drinking.
Now, Bright, there was a promise to repeal LI 2462.
He's doing
it. And when they came, they said, we won't repeal it. This is what we want to. They did an amendment. The advocacy continued. Now they are going to repeal it. So maybe if their advocacy continues, insistent that there must be a state of emergency to come. Is that what you think?
So this economics problem I was explaining between, where we make laws before we understand the policy, we put the cart before the horse, is very evident here. But we made the laws around mining in forest reserves. Had we determined which of our forest reserves we wanted to degazette, because at a certain point we felt that those particular forest reserves were surfeit or surplus to requirements. We have not yet made those proper policy choices, which is why eventually, even though we had the law, we're still allowing people, based on discretion, to go into the reserves and mine. So we have to start off being clear about policy. What is the extent of forest reserves that in our current situation, we believe is a total requirement. How much of it do we feel that we are willing to sacrifice for economic development? These are matters of policy. Secondly, I understand the passion that our friends on the activist side in this matter bring to bear on this issue. But I think they also have to clarify in great detail how the state of emergency specifically will function. Because I've heard it said a lot of times. Today is the first time that I'm hearing Senor start to kind of lay out why the state of emergency will make a difference. Because my view was that the existing interventions that are of a security nature are themselves not being maximized. So if we give soldiers more power and more license, are we saying that we're going to suspend some rights? What would the emergency, what you call declaration of state of emergency, how specifically will it function? Which rights do you want to suspend? Which rights are in the way, etc.? Those things I think are very important. The next level is that I don't think the president is well informed when he suggests that we've kicked out all foreigners out of the gold value chain. It's not because the issue of the matter is that the foreigners were involved in finance. And today we haven't changed the financial arrangements. So even if you ensure that all the aggregators and the rest are Ghanaians, where are they getting the money from? They're necessarily not getting it from our banks. A lot of that money is still coming from foreigners. Thirdly, the government itself is heavily dependent on foreigners to market the gold. The Bank of Ghana has contracts that I know with international players who are not Ghanaian. The Gold Board is heavily involved in trying to solicit for international partnerships in order to market. So there are always going to be foreigners involved. So this notion that somehow the new arrangements eliminate foreigners, I don't think is correct. The bigger issue around galamsey, to be honest with you, and that's why I myself have been very reticent and have very unconventional views about galamsey, is that to do profitability and environmental conservation at the same time is extremely difficult. There are only 38 or so large-scale mining companies in the country. Of that, about 12 of them are active large-scale gold mines. Those 12, they employ less than 40,000 people. Yet, the average mine size is over 70 square kilometers. If you use the density we have on our small-scale mines and apply that density to large-scale mines, you need to put 105,000 workers in each large-scale mine. That's not viable. The average large-scale mine in this country in gold has fewer than 3,000 people. So if there's a huge gap between the large-scale mining sector and the small-scale mining sector in terms of productivity, the average large-scale mining worker makes about $170,000 for the company, on average. The average cost small-scale miner cannot even make $4,000.
Okay.
So that's a massive gap. You need to fill it somehow.
All right.
And that will require that we change the entire structure of the gold mine industry. And that's a policy matter, which we haven't even started to go into.
Right.
There's an optimal mine size issue, which if we don't fix, will never make a difference.
Dennis.
Council, so I mean, and I'll say this, no interruption because I have my basis. The President, John Mahama, His Excellency, is the biggest enabler of galamsey in this country. And it predates now. First of all, he lied when he said that in the last 8 years, this has escalated, it's a complete false. So I don't know how much time I have, but I'll utilize as much as I can. Before 2011, galamsey was just whole pickaxe on land. They gathered small. Then in late 2011, 2012, that was when galamsey went into our water bodies. That was the time Mr. Potterfi, who was then NADMO Director General, and Professor Mills went to somewhere in Acham and saw large tract of galamsey happening in some cocoa farms. Then in 2013, under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, galamsey in our forest reserves and water bodies actually became endemic. That is what led him to set up a task force, which was led by Honorable Yunus Afuseni. So it is completely a lie. If he creates an impression and say, in the last 8 years, and that is one force who they've been peddling. They create an impression in the minds of the populace as if galamsey, as we are seeing it today, is like an Akufo-Addo thing. Indeed, it is as a result of how bad galamsey was. That is how come in the Akufo-Addo's first 3 months, he actually declared a war on galamsey.
He did, and he worked well on that. So that lie, the first 2 years,
that lie must actually be put to live. Now, in 2016, this is what happened. 3 years after the task force led by Honorable Fusedi had been set up, the minister admitted that the war against galamsey cannot be won. This is on Ghana Web. In fact, read myjoyonline.com, 15 September 2016. The minister gives up on galamsey fight. It's on My Joy Online. Now, the galamsey fight, he said, has been allowed to fester so much so that the water bodies in this country have turned into Milo. This is the minister. This was the task force.
So the state of emergency must be now.
No, please. If my time is not up, you let me make my point.
You are done.
Okay. So I mean, for lack of enough time, it is the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo who actually brought in the media into the fight against galamsey. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is the one who brought CSOs into the fight against galamsey.
Welcome that we brought our, we pushed ourselves
now fast forward council. When Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo started arresting people, burning champagnes, taking them to court, do you know what the president now said? He said that stop going after illegal miners with soldiers. This is on your portal. It is on video. Now, in 2020, when Nana Addo was now going into a second-term elections and we are arresting people, the same president now went into the pit, sent his people into the pit to tell them that if you vote for Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, he's going to stop you from doing galamsey. Vote for us. Today, Tony Obey, who is leading Petroleum Hub, is going to be made Minerals Commission boss, and we are going to allow you to mine. The president said that he was going to reverse the policies Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo had put in place and release all those who have been arrested. Fast forward.
He was going for the kingpins.
Please, I beg you, you fast forward.
Well, your time is up.
Fast forward. The same man is back in government. And now listen to what he's saying. He's saying that, but the thing, if the man will go to private pockets and will get it, is the same thing. The man, please.
Okay, carry on.
Thank you.
The same man.
We have a minute left. We have a minute left. First of all, we have a minute left. Let me tell you this. Honorable News of Seni. So why the reluctance? When shall we get to that stage? And when I was sitting there in that room, and that question was asked, and he referred to 8 years. There's a lady who was sitting by me. The lady will tell you. I looked at the lady and said, did the president said 8 years ago?
That's absolutely, Mr. President was wrong.
Why? What's wrong with you?
What Miracles has done is what we call revisionism. It's rewritten what we know about galamsey to suit his own narrative.
All of them are facts.
Please.
All of them, they are all there.
He said I shouldn't talk, so I just kept quiet. Now, we went into office with a promise to fight galamsey in 2012. It was contained in our manifesto. That was why the president established the anti-galamsey task force.
That's exactly what I said.
Now, you went into office in 2017. The whole manifesto of the MPP in 2017 had no entry for fighting galamsey.
That's true.
So how could you say that you were thinking of fighting galamsey more than John Dramani Mahama?
They bought into the advocacy and did it well. That's what I'm saying.
Please.
What are you talking about?
Please. You are talking to the minister. I was there.
But the facts are there. You can skew the fact. You're a politician.
You said you should. You do better.
It's okay. Allow him to. It's okay.
Now, what I'm saying. So again, Nana Akufo-Addo fought the galamsey on 2 different occasions. The first time he admitted that he had failed, and went to the conference center and did another conference when he appointed Samuel Abu-Jinapor as the minister.
We need a state of emergency.
No, the president says, look, and I agree with him. You know, on this platform, I said you should do it. But I subsequently engaged them. He said, and that's exactly the question you asked. He said, what is state of emergency to do? We want to stop galamsey. So there are steps that we must take and make sure that we monitor those steps and evaluate.
We are taking these steps over the years.
No, it's different. He says that, look, we are putting water guards.
They are there. They are there now.
My guests have been Bright Simmons, Honorary Vice President Imani Africa. Earlier we were joined by Bobby Banson. Inu Safuseni is former MP, Tamale Central. Dennis Miracles Abuaji is Director of Communications, the Baumia Campaign. Senyor Hosi is convener, One Ghana Movement, and trustee of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. I'm Samson Lade Ayanini. Have a good afternoon.